The Nothing Ear 3 are Nothing's latest headphones at a slightly more premium price than the brand would usually suggest. Here in Australia, a set of these will run you $299 officially, although I am seeing them more around the $250 mark at the time of recording this video. Design wise, yeah, they certainly feel like Nothing products. They've got a kind of standout look that is definitely just that little bit different to the rest of the, earbuds pack. If I open them up here, I'll reveal the actual buds themselves. I quite like the look, a mixture of plastic and aluminium with these nice little dots to indicate which side is which. But I guess that is going to be a contentious thing. Some people will love the style, some people won't. I think compared to the Nothing headphones, which are really kind of ostentatious and out there, these are just that little bit more subtle. I think I like the design slightly more, but tastes can, of course, vary. They're IP52 rated, which basically means, yeah, you can sweat in them. They shouldn't get too much dust in them, but don't go scuba diving. The other interesting design feature of the Nothing Ear 3s is this talk button on the side. I'll get into why that's relevant in just a minute. Otherwise, the case is much like the headphones, quite kind of showy with this little indent at the top where I often find I'm kind of resting my thumb when I pull them out of my pants pocket, but it doesn't need to be there. It's just sort of there because with recharging via USB-C, although you will need your own cable to do this. So what about comfort? Well, look, I've been wearing these for the past couple of weeks, and yeah, they are actually, despite their slightly unusual styling, they are just kind of regular comfortable. And that includes things like running, because I have taken them for a run or two. Look, here's some proof. Okay, so I just did a 5k run with the Nothing Ear 3 headphones in, and as you can see, they've stayed in place, which is quite pleasing, of course. Quite comfortable to wear, decent audio, gets quite loud. I actually had to turn them down when I started running because they were a bit too loud. These are just your regular basic Bluetooth headphones, and you could just pair them up, as soon as you open the case, or if you need to repair them. There's a handy dandy button. I do prefer the style of Bluetooth headphones that have a button in the case rather than relying on you pressing and holding on areas of the headphones, because that just never seems to work all that well. But in order to get the most out of them, you will need the Nothing X app, which handles your usual audio functions, equalization, ANC multi-point pairing, firmware updates, that kind of deal. Now, in terms of audio quality, these are actually pretty decent. By default, maybe a little bit heavy on the bass side, but there's a lot of equalization you can do here. There are a number of preset modes for things like more bass or more treble, depending on your tastes and proclivities. Also, user-definable presets, and just a whole bunch of tweaking that you can do that does give them a fairly pleasing sound. Again, these are $299 headphones, and Nothing's position has historically long been one of more affordability, and not quite so much, obviously, as a CMF sub-brand, but still, affordability has been key. These are on the higher side, and I do expect a slightly better grade of audio. These mostly deliver, although they don't really punch above their weight in audio terms. They're also ANC enabled, and here the ANC is reasonable enough. A couple of stepped levels of ANC as well as adaptive on offer, but I was left kind of wanting. It's certainly noticeable when it kicks in. It's good for, the basic everyday hum of life, as it were, getting rid of that. But I have hit stronger in this price bracket, and these could have been stronger in that aspect. And I kind of wish at this price that they were. While I'm on the topic of ANC, these do a thing that the Nothing headphones did as well, and that's weird little noises when you activate them. Now, you do this either through the app or by squeezing the stalks. I'm not a big fan of touch controls, but this works well enough. But when you kick the ANC on, you get this kind of sucking in noise. It's like someone slurping thick shake up or something. And then when you switch it off, you get this exasperated sigh. It's almost like the headphones are annoyed at you for switching ANC off. It's a choice. It doesn't materially affect the way the headphones work, but it always catches me slightly off guard, even though I know it's there. Your own tastes may, of course, vary. Now, one of the bigger hooks for the Nothing Ear 3 headphones is this talk button. Now, if you pair these up to a Nothing phone, they'll work with the essential space feature on those phones. So basically, you can use this talk button for quick voice memo notes as an additional microphone. So it's got a pair of MEMS microphones built into the case itself. The idea is you'd have these headphones in your ears, you'd close the case up, and then you press the talk button in to activate the headphone and get better audio quality, or at least that's the theory. Now, if you are using them, by the way, with a non-Nothing phone, then the talk button still works, but it just acts as a microphone enhancer. Bearing in mind, of course, the microphones are in the case. So in order to use the enhanced microphones, you actually have to hold the case up to your face, up to where you're talking from, which for most people is their mouth. There are some people who talk from somewhere else, but I won't get into that now. The question, of course, is does this make a difference? So I've tested that out a bunch of different ways. I've tested that with phone calls, but that's always a little bit inconclusive because phone call audio quality can vary for other reasons. You've got the quality of the network, you've got the quality of the speaker on the other end of the call, that kind of thing can also kick in. So I thought I'd just do some straight direct audio recording, first just from the headphones themselves, and then with the super mic enabled using that effectively as the primary mic, with a little bit of classic Lewis Carroll. Here then are the first couple of verses of Jabberwocky recorded just with the basic mics. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe, all mimsy with the borogoves and the mome rats outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird and shun the frumious bandersnatch. So that's legible, but that definitely sounds like I'm talking through Bluetooth headphones. There's definitely that kind of distance and artificiality to the sound. What do the super mics sound like? 'Twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe, all mimsy with the borogoves and the mome rats outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird and shun the frumious bandersnatch. Yeah, that's not bad. Nothing does live up to its promises here, but it's a promise with a bit of a catch because, as I said, in order for this to work, you actually have to have the microphones in the case somewhere near where you're talking, which just feels plain weird. And I'm struck by the fact that for a lot of phones, especially if you've got more of a mid range or a premium phone in your pocket in the first place, you'll probably get better audio just holding your phone up to your ear than you would holding this up, and you won't look anywhere near as odd. I really did feel socially awkward taking calls and trying to improve them with this case held up in public. You really do look kind of odd, and it kind of feels like while the microphones themselves work, this is kind of solving a problem that maybe doesn't exist as much as Nothing thinks it does. Yes, the audio is better, but it's not like the audio out of the headphones is terrible. In terms of battery life, Nothing's claim is that the Nothing Ear 3 headphones are good for up to 10 hours of battery life with ANC disabled or 5.5 with it enabled. Now, I've never understood why you'd spend near $300 on a set of ANC headphones and not use ANC most of the time. I'll be honest here, nearly all my testing has been done with ANC enabled. And honestly, yeah, it hits pretty close to those figures. I've tended to get more like 4.5 to maybe 5 hours out of them. One thing I have noticed, and I don't know why this is the case, is that the left bud sometimes drops power a bit more quickly than the right one. I've had instances where the right bud has said it's on 85% and the left bud has said it's on 80%, and they've both been playing in my ears for the same amount of time and they both came out with 100% when they started. I don't know if that means there's something wrong with just my left bud or maybe my left ear needs to listen more intently. I'm not sure what's going on there, really. Like every other set of buds out there, they charge when they're in their case. With ANC disabled, you'll get up to 38 hours of battery life. With ANC enabled, you'll get up to 22. So, should you buy the Nothing Ear 3 headphones? Well, look, if you're already in the Nothing ecosystem, if you've got a Nothing phone and you want a good companion set of headphones, these are pretty decent. The audio presentation is nice. I could wish the ANC was a little bit better, but that integration with the Essential Space app, yeah, that works pretty well. If you're not, though, you've got a lot of other choices. And at $299, I could wish for the ANC to be better, and you can get better. And that's a big downside for these particular headphones. And while the Super Mic feature does work, it does deliver better quality audio, I am left struck by the fact that you still look kind of ridiculous using it. And for a lot of purposes, the audio that you'll get out of the headphones alone is good enough to make yourself understood. At which point, yeah, the super mic really does kind of feel like a neat idea that doesn't really solve a problem that too many people have.